Hi, I'm here with Katie Halper. She's my favorite new lefty journalist, and she has a great piece. Hi, Katie.
Hi, Jimmy.
All right, and she's all the way in New York. I'm all the way in Los Angeles. I don't know how this works. Something to do with E equals MC squared and satellite position. I don't know how it works, but here's your article. I'm going to show people that you did a nice article in Paste Magazine. There it is. It says Hillary's mean media is alive and well. Degradation is a strange-looking olive branch. Now, I've noticed, along with you, Katie, that the Clinton faction doesn't really know how to reach out to liberals or the left or anybody on the left to get a vote. They know how to reach out to the right. But you wrote this about not only that, but they can't help but punch. It's an old saying is that punch a hippie, meaning like how the Republicans fear their base, but the Democrats have disdain for their base and they mock them, meaning they punch a hippie, make fun of somebody on the left. And you feel like even after Hillary Clinton won the nomination, instead of acting like good winners, people in the media did what?
Yeah, I was really surprised. I mean, I like you, Jimmy, and what did you call me? Lefty journalist. So you're one of my favorite lefty comedians and truth tellers. But the show that I have on WBAI, which is the Katie Halper show, it kind of turned into, unintentionally, a radio show that was all about media bias. And that kind of wasn't my intention, but I had no other choice because I do think that this election has been as much about the media as it has been about actual politics in a way that I kind of always knew intellectually, but I think it's so much clearer now, and I'm aware of it on a really visceral level and in a way that I wasn't before. So I was kind of shocked by how mean-spirited the media was towards Bernie Sanders throughout the whole campaign. I mean, every smear was about his being grumpy, his being mean, his being misogynist, his being racist, his being sexist, his being not being gracious. Then he endorses her, and these guys still are writing about him and saying he's mean, he's not nice. He's like, what do you want from him? First of all, I think half of the people who write about him have a crush on him because I don't know why they keep writing about him. He had already endorsed her. He had already, stepped out of the race. And then he wrote another op-ed, right? So he endorsed her, then he spoke for her at the convention, then he wrote an op-ed. And people were like, yeah, I liked it, but, it didn't feel emotional enough for me. I was like, yeah, something about it felt like it was written almost by like by a 70-something-year-old Jewish socialist from Brooklyn, Where was that Maya Angelou voice that I really wanted? Like, what are they expecting? This is Bernie Sanders. This is who he is. Like a Hallmark card? I don't think that would have moved his base either, by the way.
So you had some pretty specific examples, not only of... So, I mean, we've made the point on this show before that the media, it was the left-wing media that kind of kneecapped Bernie Sanders. We all expected regular mainstream media and right-wing media, of course, to try to marginalize him. But I didn't expect the left-wing to do that. And Mort Saul, in fact, said to one of the writers for the show last year that it will be the left wing that kneecaps Bernie Sanders. It won't be the right wing or the mainstream media. And that's certainly what happened. You saw all the BS. Well, now that we know through the DNC leaks, all the BS that was concocted, right? And so then the left-wing media just repeated that stuff. And when I say left-wing media, I mean MSNBC. So it was just...
I call it the liberal media. I don't even think they're left-wing, honestly. I mean, I get that they're to the left and not to the right, but they're so...
There's fair establishment.
They're establishment, yeah. They are I really think they're just neoliberal. That's what it is. I think more and more it's becoming clear that lots of the places that we call the left or even liberal are neoliberal, right? They're not even progressive. They're kind of status quo liberals. They're like, they support the establishment, the media, the corporate media, and the political establishment. The difference is that they have and are gay, of color, women, and that's great. I don't like to hang out with all white men who are straight either. That doesn't make you progressive, though, or woke, as people say. It does in the way we use it, which is ironically, right? But it doesn't make you. I'm glad that people have a diverse group of friends. I'd like it if they didn't also support bombing a diverse group of people.
Wow, that's a great. That's really well put. I might have to put that in my act. But
I'll share it with you. Yeah.
okay. So it was very disheartening for me to see that as soon as a real liberal showed up, a real progressive, Bernie Sanders, who didn't take corporate money and was on the right side of every issue for the last 30 years, it was interesting to see as soon as that guy showed up, again, the left-wing media. And let's just be said, when I say left-wing media, I get exactly what you say, the supposed left-wing media, MSNBC. If you do anything that's truly lefty, they fire you, right? So if if right now Rachel Maddow came out and had Phil Donahue on her show, they'd fire her. If she talked a little bit too loudly against the TPP on her show, which is what Ed Schultz did, they would fire her. Right. So the fact that those people are still working there and they aren't fired and they work for Comcast, which is a big pusher of the TPP, we know this, they are backing it so much that they fired Ed Schultz. They don't want him they don't need to hear that anymore. Right. So that's the difference between left wing and right wing media. Right. So they would never fire a right wing guy. They only fire a left wing guy for being too lefty. They'll never fire a right wing guy for being too righty. Right. And so.
Right, which is what you're saying about fearing your base, right? Like the left is in so many ways it's afraid of its own shadow in a way that the right isn't at all.
Yes, no doubt about it. So that's what. So when people say, "Oh, it's MSNBC, they're left, and Fox News is right," Fox News isn't news. It's not news. It's propaganda. It's been scientifically proven. The more you watch Fox News, the less informed you are. So that's not a news station. They're doing something else. But people keep calling it news. It's not. And so they go, "Oh, the Fox is right wing and MSNBC is left wing." No, MSNBC is not left wing. They're giving you everything that they're saying on that is corporate approved. It's being approved by one of the biggest corporations in the world, right? So it's not left. And the fact that they can pretend they are, it's not. It's not. And I'm not saying they're bad people. I'm saying they're just not left. So let's get back to your article, Katie.
Sure.
You had some specific examples. For instance, you referenced Slate magazine. And so there was a specific piece by Jeremy Stahl, who's an editor for Slate. Am I wrong about that?
No, yeah, he's a political editor, and I couldn't believe it.
So I'm showing that picture. I'm showing the picture on the cover of his article. It says horrified Bernie Sanders supporters during his convention speech. And there's a picture of a guy sitting all alone with his hand like on his face, and he's got a sad look on his face. Right. And the caption is, "Just please take me home now. I want to go home." So this is after Bernie had already endorsed her. Why would you do that? That's my question to you, Katie. Why would someone who you won, your candidate won, the true progressive? By the way, it's just weird to see people who consider themselves liberals or lefties shitting on an actual liberal. Like that's the new blood sport for people who consider themselves lefty, is to shit on someone a little farther left than them. That's the weirdest thing I've never seen. That's just weird to do that.
It's funny.
Go ahead.
Yeah, no, people are really becoming exposed. Like this election has exposed a lot of people, right? So
like Jeremy Stahl?
Like Jeremy Stahl, right? And one sign, this is kind of a new level. This is a new level of kind of rudeness and kind of embarrassingly mean-spirited behavior. But before that, we had another interesting kind of reveal, which was when the Democratic Platform Committee meetings were happening, and you had so-called progressives actually trying to shame Bernie Sanders for staying in the race and not dropping out, as he was demonstrably and indisputably moving the platform to the left, making it more progressive, right? So not only is it weird, I'm no longer surprised that progressives who call themselves progressives don't actually want a progressive platform or don't actually want a progressive movement. I'm surprised that they don't have the kind of awareness to realize that they shouldn't say that out loud.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's like a level of obliviousness. I think it comes from being really entitled and insulated, and I think that's similar to what we see here, which, again, I expect these people to be mean-spirited. They already were mean-spirited. I guess they could pretend that they were doing it before to kind of get people into line. I think it would backfire anyway. But then the guy endorses Hillary Clinton very enthusiastically, and now you're just actually sadistic. You're like, you're a bully. You're a mean bully. You're a schoolyard bully.
Yeah, you're just shitting on people who have a different political opinion than yours, actually a more liberal position than yours, and they're sad that their candidate didn't win. Their candidate endorsed your candidate, and you still feel a need to take a dump on them. By the way, their candidate doesn't take any corporate money, never voted for a war. It's like so.
Well, I think that's why I think a reason that they shit on them with so much gusto, if you will, is because they are resentful of us, of people who support Sanders, because I think that they feel like we're kind of calling them out.
We are.
Even if we say anything about them, just the fact that they can't pretend that this guy's a total lunatic, because there are people who are coherent people and have sane ideas that have decided that Sanders was the way better candidate. Forget way more progressive, but also I think more electable.
Way more.
He had a way easier time with the general than he did with the primary. Sanders. But I think that people are shitting on supporters because they don't want them to kind of expose them for being the centrist neoliberals that they are. And what's weird is that a lot of the other articles I cite in my piece were really mean towards people who hadn't already become Hillary supporters, people who were saying that they were Bernie bust, maybe Stein supporters, or just kind of like on the fence. But what's weird about this is Stahl didn't even wait for these people to declare where they were politically. These were literally photos of people reacting to his speech. For all he knew,
I'm going to show some of those photos. Let me show some of those. So there's the first photo of this guy being just he's at the DNC, he's at the convention, he's sitting there and he's reacting to Bernie's speech. And wow, it's sad. Wow, wouldn't it be beautiful if we could embrace these kind of ideals? So here's some of the pictures that. So you made then in this article for Slate, they start putting pictures of people who are having emotional reactions to Bernie's speech, and they show a lot of the same people. You said 9 pictures, and he used a lot of the same pictures twice. This is the same. I'm showing a picture of the same woman crying. So he's got 2 pictures of the same woman here. He has multiple pictures of. Go ahead.
The same woman. He has 2 of the same guy. So first of all, this guy is so lazy he can't even curate other people's pictures. Like he finds 3 people to cover. He may, again with the crush, maybe he has a crush on 2 of these people, and that's why he keeps repeating their photos. But what's interesting is there have been so many slideshows of this, right? Not all of them were this mean-spirited, but there were countless photos. And you know what I noticed while I was watching? I was like, oh, this guy clearly went out of his way to not include any of the people of color who were upset. Because white people aren't the only people who supported Sanders, as much as the media wanted us to think that. And nor are white people the only people to show emotion in their faces. So it's not like this guy captured a representative sample. He went out of his way to give a skewed view of a Bernie Sanders supporters, and then for no reason just to be mean to them and to ridicule them. Why would you ridicule people who are supporting the progressive candidate who just endorsed your candidate? That's called being a shitty winner. You're a shitty fucking winner, which means you're not a good person, which means you don't have real integrity, nor do you know how you come off to other people. You're everything that is wrong with what you have all the traits that don't go well with being a good reporter. Right. And it's also, to me, not to sound corny, but politics really are about people. Like, the only reason I care about politics is because I care about people. And, I want as less people suffering as possible. And, there's a lack of empathy. This guy is showing a lack of empathy. I feel like he could be a sociopath or something, or a psychopath. This would be a good
Jeremy Stahl, the guy who did this story. That's what you're talking about on Slate. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Yes. What else is motivating you to now?
People's politics, right? This is what makes you. I really do think that someone like Bernie Sanders and the people who support him, for the most part, are more empathetic towards the suffering of others. And that's what I want in politicians. That's what I want in friends in general. Like, that's what makes people good people. And this kind of weird disconnect where, again, what's weird about this article in particular, as opposed to the other ones really shit on Bernie or busters, which I think is a problem in itself. But this is particularly kind of bad strategy, because for all this guy knows, all the people in this article, for all he knows, could be people who had found jobs working at the Hillary Clinton campaign for the next day, for all he knows. You know what I mean? These weren't people who were saying, I'm not getting on board with her. These were people who, God forbid, they were literally reacting in real time to the person who they were supporting, announcing and officially stepping down. what's embarrassing about that? Like, I think another thing is he's embarrassed because no one would have cried over that happening with Hillary Clinton.
I think you are correct. I think you really put your finger on something there, Katie. It's like, oh, people have emotional reactions. Like people had emotional reactions to Robert Kennedy, and people had emotional reactions. So it's that kind of a thing that scares them. Like nobody's going to have that reaction to Hillary Clinton, so we have to now shit on that reaction and denigrate it and make it seem silly or childish and not really a mature reaction to things. Because if you look the captions he was putting in when that one woman was crying, his caption was, "Hey, look, nobody died."
Yeah, that's the other thing. Hey, Jeremy Stahl, Mr. Stahl, Jeremy.
What a weirdo.
I don't like politics, but I could always use some more money. You should hire me to write your mean-spirited funny stuff because I'm 1,000 times funnier than you. No, don't hire me. Hire a 5-year-old and he'll be funnier than you. Can we just look at some of these captions? They're so not funny. Okay, one of them goes, just please take me home now. I want to go home. Another one, poor souls. Another one, I mean, nobody died. And then this one's real great. It's with brackets, insert Celine Dion lyrics here.
Yes.
So not only is he mean-spirited, but he's not even like one of these people who's funny and you feel bad when you're laughing. He's just not funny at all.
Right.
Which goes back to another theory I have is that comedians are more, funny comedians are more empathetic than, that's why a lot of people on the left are funnier than on the right.